All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another golf video here. We're looking at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, which is always a really fun tournament. If you guys are not aware and you're not a golf fan, this is the tournament that you've probably seen on social media where people are throwing beer cans on the par 3 and having a good time and drinking and, I guess crowd noises encouraged at times. So very excited for this one. What we're going to do in today's video, I'm going to dive into this course. We'll talk about it a little bit, and then we'll go over some of the favorites in the tournament, kind of give you my thoughts on them. And then, like always, we'll go through who I'm actually looking to roll with myself. But all of my final plays, so to actually roll with myself, check out the pinned comment. It'll take you over to the Guy Boston Sports site absolutely free for what I'm actually rolling with myself. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. In terms of last week, we did drop a little bit more on the golf season as a whole this year, down 3.3 units. If you guys are new to golf betting and whatnot, like this is such a more volatile sport than most. You'll lose a couple units one week and then you're waiting for that once in a blue moon week where you really do see the board and see the leaderboard kind of before it happens and cash out. So I'm not discouraged by this. Obviously, with our other sports being in the green, it kind of looks weird there, but honestly, I'm not all that discouraged. We've been getting pretty damn close with some of our plays, and we had one positive week out of the weeks that we've been doing this. So overall, yeah, want to be a little bit better, but at the same time, thought I'd give the context of how golf betting works. And anyone that's done it for a long time knows that that is the case. It really isn't the week in and week out thing that a lot of other sports may or may not be. But let's go ahead and talk about this one here. Waste Management Phoenix Open at TPC Scottsdale here, the stadium course. We'll look at the past winners. So this are the past contestants. This is 2024 to, I believe, all the way back to 2022. Everyone that's finished inside the top 10, and we're starting to get a feel that strokes gained off the tee is very important. Over on datagolf.com, the course fit tool, you can see driving distance and approach are the two main things, which that driving distance obviously fits right into our thought of strokes gained off the tee, right? And where else I'd want to take a peek is honestly right there in the strokes gained on the approach. We're seeing a lot of green there around the green. Clearly, you don't necessarily need that. We've had guys lose strokes around the green and still finish in second, third, fourth, fifth, that type of thing. And then putting, if your putter's on, you're going to win tournaments. But even still, not seeing this as important as these first two columns, strokes gained off the tee, as well as strokes gained on the approach. Now, we did just see driving distance mattering via Data Golf. Bet the number says that this is not exactly a bomber's paradise, but you do still gain, if you're 20 yards longer than average, still gain about 1.2 strokes gained per round. So I think that's worth thinking about. I'm sort of shifting my focus a little bit more to the approach side of things because you could see here, you're going to have a lot of approach shots, unlike last week where we were talking about that 100-ish yard range, a lot of approach shots from the 126 to 175 range, as well as the 176 to 225 range. And we have that built into our numbers that we'll go through in just a second. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive into this. I do have a few spots that I'm liking as of right now, but like I mentioned, guys, keep an eye on the pinned comment. It'll take you to everything that I'm rolling with if that does interest you over there in the pinned comment. But this is the leaderboard we have. We see Scotty, JT, and Hideki as the first three guys here. Let's go ahead and dive into Scotty because it's hard to ever say that Scotty's not worth it, right? He ends up finishing T9 last week. He had a really good fourth round. You could see putting around the green and approach looked good. His third round was really good. Rounds 1 was good. Round 2, he kind of faded off a little bit, but again, a top 10 finish for him there. His driving accuracy and ball speed obviously look very good. The only thing I'm concerned with, and honestly, when I say concerned with Scotty, it's not really a concern, right? He's one of the best ball strikers, if not the best ball striker in the field any given moment. Last 10 rounds here, you can see he's really gaining a lot more shots when he's inside that 125 range, not necessarily from deep. We look at how he's played here in previous years. Pretty damn well. Won it twice. Last year came T3. It's a lot of greens, so obviously Scotty is going to be a guy that you can week in and week out consider. I don't know about the plus 280 to win it outright. That seems like the only thing that matters to me. It's like he's lost his bettability, but at the same time, you can't just fade Scotty, right? So yeah, I give a little Ev stamp of approval here on Scotty, but it's hard not to. The next guy, Justin Thomas, this may be who I would consider my favorite this week, right? Favorite. So AT&T didn't look all that great. He is closing tournaments fairly well. I mean, not necessarily last week. He had a couple decent rounds, but realistically, it was round 1 and nothing else. But prior to, with the Century and the American, closing weeks, round 3 and 4, being decent, especially when gaining strokes as he gets closer to the green. The one thing I want to make sure that we're seeing with him is that these strokes gained on the approach. It seems like a mixed bag as of right now, and off the tee as well. I consider those two really good spots for JT, but we haven't necessarily seen him click yet. The one thing that I do like is check him out in this tournament, right? Now, this is a very different tournament. Like I said, there's noise, there's obnoxious stuff. Typical golf fans may not like it. I like it. A lot of golf fans do like it, but sort of that stadium aspect and whatnot, he clearly looks pretty damn good. And I already mentioned putting you don't always need at this course. If you're going to win tournaments, you're going to need a putt. But if we're talking him placing pretty well, we'll take a near even or near zero strokes gain week from him, right? He's done phenomenal in the last 4 weeks. The last 3 times playing, the 4th round, 3rd round, 2nd round, he's done pretty damn well, right? And you can see here, ball speed looks good. And look at where he's gaining strokes here. A lot of strokes gained, especially when he's, not necessarily in the fairway there from that 175 to 225 range. And even within our model, you can see we do have, ball striking and whatnot in there. There's a decent amount of green here for JT. Now, the last sort of spotlight I want to give is Hideki Matsuyama. In terms of how he's done in the past here, kind of a mixed bag. Not all that great, not all that terrible. And he also hasn't done phenomenally this year. I mean, the Century he wins, and then it's almost like a little cascade down since then, right? He's not gaining many shots in the approach, but when we look at where it matters, he actually is. So I don't hate Hideki this week. I would still say out of these top 3, I think JT may be my sort of horse this week. You know what I mean? But let's talk about a few other guys. So if we move into some guys that I like this week, you see I have a pretty damn big list of them right here. Sam Burns is one that I like, and my list, usually when I have this bet the number model built, you don't even see reds in here, right? But this is a mix of multiple things. Recent form overall, which is what we're looking at here, right? Pebble Beach, Farmers, American Express, and then also this tournament on a year-to-date or year-by-year basis, which I definitely factor in because how many times am I going to say I think that this is a different tournament? You're silly if you don't believe that, right? So Sam Burns, last 2 years, T6, T3, and he honestly doesn't do anything special here, but doesn't look all that terrible either. There's no real red numbers. If we do want to look at his player profile, kind of see how he fits. Like I mentioned, we did see him perform really, really well the last 2 years. And where was that? Oh, good on the approach last year, right? Actually good all around, but off the tee, which we already mentioned via the course fit tool, as well as seeing what winners and top placers have done. We've already seen that obviously, strokes gained off the tee, let's find Sam Burns, is massive. And he's been phenomenal at that, right? And just accurate enough, just above, par in terms of, no pun intended, in terms of what we've seen from him at this course. If we look at, let's see, if we kind of find this tournament last year and go through it, excuse me for not having this ready, but let's try and find it. So we're looking for the Phoenix. Look at this. Deadly accurate, right? Gained 1.6 off the tee on the field per round. So obviously very, very good to see there. So yeah, Sam Burns is a guy that I'm definitely considering. Sepp Straka, I wouldn't be turned off by his, I don't want to call it a collapse, but he was in the final group, didn't really look all that tremendous. I mean, even looking at it from a perspective here, like he gained strokes on the approach and the off the tee, and he's looked very, very good gaining shots in the approach, which is another thing that we're really focusing on this week. So I don't mind Sepp, probably like top 20. To win it, I'm not sure. He is obviously a really good player, but doesn't have the history here, right? But he's been playing really well in recent form. Sahith could be a look. I'm really only looking Sahith because he performs well here. Doesn't necessarily, shout he's in good form or fits the course, but hey, clearly something about the course works, right? Siwoo, same exact thing. Now, he did finish 12th here at Pebble Beach, which is obviously good to note, right? He gained strokes off the tee, which I do love to see. I'd love to see a little bit more from the approach per him, but par 5 scoring, obviously one of the better guys in the field. And look at how he's done. 2024, 2023, and 2022. He's just gotten better and better T12 last year, so I don't mind that. Maverick McNeely, another one that played well here last year, and ball striking, putts on overseed, approaches from that long area, does phenomenally. Now we get into some of the bigger plus monies. Actually, Nick Taylor I'd kind of put in that intermediate area. But Luke Clanton, Spieth, Novak, Gary Woodland, and then Schmid. These are some of the guys that I do think could be worth some sprinkles this week. I mean, it sounds silly to say you sprinkle on Jordan Spieth, but Jordan Spieth, look at his recent performance here at this course. In fact, let's blow him up and take a peek at him. When he plays at Waste Management, he's played well. You look at his recent play, and it really hasn't been all that great. Barely gaining anything off the tee, right? Strokes gained on the approach, minus 0.5. We even want to narrow it down. I think it gets worse if we look at his last 10 rounds. Yeah, even worse, right? But there could be something here. There's a lot of green here, especially off the tee, and then, not last year. And he still finished T6 last year with terrible approach. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, the putter was hot. The around the greens were hot. He played that well that even in what I would consider the most important stat category, he sucked at, and he went out there and still finished T6. You could see the last day he did kind of pick up some, but for the rest of the tournament was really, really struggling. So I do think Spieth is a viable candidate, especially because I feel like we're a little too early, but at the same time, when you're too early, you're getting a better number, right? So I like Spieth at these plus money numbers that we're getting. Novak, I don't mind. Really good form right now, good par 5 scoring, and nothing's really alarming when I look at him, right? Mixed bag off the tee, strokes gained getting better right now. So yeah, for the plus money you're getting, I don't mind it. Gary Woodland, actually, if we bump this out and look at just how the bet the number system ranks someone, they say Gary Woodland is based on the filters that we have, right? The number one guy here. Terrible course history. Right? Terrible course history, but everything else is greened out. When we look at strokes gained off the tee, 25th. Strokes gained on the approach, top 11. Approach in terms of 175 to 225, 21st. Ball striker, good. Overseed, good. Putting from that range. And then par 5, scoring, good. Apex, good. So is, Gary Woodland a potential look here? I mean, if we look at him recently at this course in the last 3 years, not all that tremendous, right? Sure, you could say this is pretty good. And yeah, he did approach well and did hit it well off the tee. Great. But overall, I mean, I'm not seeing anything that's overwhelming, but at some point we could trust these numbers, right? And Gary Woodland, I couldn't leave off of my list there at all. So yeah, this is what I'm looking at as of right now. These are the names if you want to screenshot it or check it out. But also I'll just leave this up. If we look at the BTN model itself, because they make their own models per week, here we go. This is what they deem. So I tinker with it and get in there, but this is what they deem, which makes sense, right? Scotty Scheffler, number 1. We have Kurt Kitayama, who honestly, I don't mind this. I think I might actually add him in. So now he's going to be on my favorites list. Thompson, Shore, plenty of these guys that we talked about. I don't think we mentioned Luke Clanton, but he is someone that I'm eyeing this week as well. But guys, make sure to keep an eye down on the pinned comment. Obviously, like I've said a million times, that is going to take you to what I'm rolling with myself. But hopefully some information in this video does help you out and did help you out if you're rolling with some things. Just remember, I would say approach and strokes gained off the tee, 2 things to look at here in terms of this course. If someone's putter gets hot, that's obviously going to jump in no matter what course they're playing on, but you don't always need to have a hot putter. You need to be able to put yourself in position to make putts. I didn't mention this yet in the video, but when looking at where these pins have been historically and whatnot, guys aren't sticking them tight. Guys are more or less making those 8 to 15 foot putts, meaning guys just need their putter to be hot. They don't need to be statistically the best putter ever. You know what I mean? That 8 to 15 range is such a sweet spot in terms of someone coming in there and saying, hey, I'm just seeing it a little bit bigger today. We've seen Jordan Spieth do that through his career so many times. Maybe that's why he has some decent numbers here. But that's going to wrap it for me. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.